So the first question we got was from Dawn. A really good question, by the way. She asked, can you sublimate color-changing mugs? And if you haven't seen these are mugs that change color depending on the temperature of the liquid inside them. My wife uses them with her daycare business. The answer to anything regarding sublimation, Dawn, is it depends on the availability of polymer-coated blanks or items. So if there are polymer-coated mugs that have that color-changing quality, then you can sublimate them. If there aren't, then you can buy a spray-on polymer coating. It's not really recommended, and Sawgrass kind of looks down on it because you can get an uneven coating, and that will, of course, affect the quality of the transfer or the print. But the first thing you should do is see if you can find some that are pre-coated, and the best source for that would be unisub.com. That's unisub.com. They've got a plethora of polymer-coated blanks for sublimation, so you can check there. Related question, I think also from Dawn, about what is the best way to sublimate a beer stein, and there are pre-polymer-coated beer steins available that you can purchase for sublimation, and you would put that in the mug press or in a wrap. That would be the same application.
Now I have a question from Carl concerning the dye sublimation. We mentioned that you need that heat gun. He asked a question, would a regular hair dryer work for that?
No. The issue with sublimation is that the ink does not sublimate until you reach 400 degrees Fahrenheit. So you're not going to get 400 degrees out of a hairdryer. It doesn't get that hot.
Craig says, I know there are laser printer transfer options for drinkware. Will you speak about that? There's some applications that we didn't get to that we definitely want to do in a future webinar.
Yeah, that's a good question. I'm glad you asked that. There were probably 3 more different applications that we had in our initial outline. And in the process of looking over the enormous variety of different types of things we wanted to cover, we decided to kind of start at the bottom end, the simpler things, and save the others for later application. So the 3 things we didn't cover today are laser transfer, laser engraving, and UV printers. You can definitely do the same process with a laser transfer printer like an iColor 500 or an iColor 600 using the exact same equipment, the mug press, and you would simply use the HS2 or hard surface transfer paper to do the transfer to the mug. There are some other options. Again, laser engraving, you can do something similar to the acid etch. And then there are also a lot of people who are buying the new UV printers, and that's a really great application because you can do color and texture, and you can imprint something onto any round mug and give it the color you want, a logo, and a slight texture. The only limitation with UV printers is they cannot deal with handled drinkware. So if you want to print on a mug or a drinking vessel with a UV printer, you have to buy the rotary attachment and you have to use something that will roll through there, which means you cannot decorate a coffee mug with a UV printer, but you can decorate something like a YETI or a stainless steel tumbler that's perfectly cylindrical, so keep that in mind.
And Levon says, so you recommend the Endura vinyl to do plastic and metal tumblers?
Yes, the Endura gloss vinyl is very well good for that application. The only difference that I've seen in applications with Endura gloss on plastic and metal is that with a brushed finish like you have on a YETI, it's not really a smooth, non-porous surface, and so when you apply the vinyl to the surface, what you want to do is squeeze it very securely and wait about 5 to 10 minutes before you start to remove the transfer tape. If you try to remove the tape immediately, then you'll find that the vinyl will come off with the tape because you're dealing with a low energy surface. If you give it about 5 to 15 minutes for the adhesive to wet out completely or to cure, then you'll be able to remove the tape and it will stay securely. If you want to go a little bit faster, then you could switch to vinyl with a solvent-based adhesive, but in all of our testing, the Endura gloss worked very well with those types of things. Now, if you get into something like polypropylene, then you may have some more issues because there are some plastics that just don't work well with any type of vinyl, whether it's acrylic or solvent-based adhesive. So whether you're using Endura gloss or 651 or whatever, if it's a polypropylene mug or something like that, then there may be some issues. But if you're dealing with stainless steel or brushed steel, then the Endura gloss is going to work fine if you give it enough time to set wet out before you remove the transfer tape. I would also recommend that you wait 24 hours before you wash it the first time, again, to let the adhesive completely cure and bond before you start to expose it to water and detergents. Kathy has a question. Do you need special ink for the print and cut decals, or will regular ink work? That's a very good question. The printers that we sell and the print and cut package we offer uses a solvent-based ink, and so there are lots of advantages to that. for anything that's going to be exposed to water, and this not only applies to drinkware, but also, of course, garments. And so the t-shirt transfers that these produce are much more durable. But if you're using an aqueous ink, then you're going to have to at least laminate that, because if you don't, then you can literally wash the ink off of that. With a solvent-based ink, such as you have in our PrismJet VJ24 and the Mutin ValueJet printers, that ink is obviously waterproof, and you don't have to worry about it being washed off. We do recommend lamination to protect it from abrasion. So if you were using something like a Canon or an HP or Epson printer, you would certainly have to laminate that to protect it from not only abrasion but also from moisture.
Cheryl asks, which of your vinyl is best for glass etching, and what would you suggest for sandblasting?
So I kind of referred to this earlier, but with glass etching, there are two different concerns. It really depends on the shape of the glass you're dealing with. If it's just a beer stein or something cylindrical, you can use a regular 3mm stencil film like the Oracal 810S or the 810 stencil, the Aura Mask actually. That works fine. It's for standard stencil application. If, however, you're etching a wine glass or something that has compound curves or challenging surfaces, a lot of people who do those type of applications prefer a cast vinyl like Oracal 751, because it will adhere more tightly to the compound curves on the glass and give you a tighter seal against your etch cream, so you'll have a better, crisper edge. So basically, again, if it's a simple curve, you can use a 3mm stencil film like the Aura Mask 810. If it's a compound curve, then you might want to stick with the Oracal 751 or 951. If you are sandblasting, then you're going to need something that has more of a body, a thicker face film, that's something that's tougher, and then you would want to use the Hartco 135S, which is a sandblast film made specifically for work with glass etching. So those would be the three options.
Hey, a couple of questions about which material to use. First, Ruth asks, what about clear coating vinyl decals on the YETI? If you want to put clear on it, what material should you use? And then also, Tanisha asks, what type of cut vinyl would work best on wine bottles?
For clear coating, there are a couple of options you can use. A lot of people use the frog juice. So there you can use a clear coat, liquid clear coat, or you can use actually an overlaminate film. But for liquid clear coat, you could use frog juice. That would work very nicely. It's a solvent-based product, so you're going to want to let it outgas and cure before you begin to serve it, and it's something that you wouldn't want to have on the inside of the drinking vessel, obviously. For putting vinyl on wine glasses, again, if it's a compound curve, then you would definitely want to use a cast film, and that would be the Oracal 751 or the Endura cast, the Endura glitter cast, which is a beautiful film that has an ultra-metallic finish. It's a 3mm cast vinyl, and it's very conformable. So for something with a metallic finish, you'd want to use the Endura glitter cast. For standard spot colors, you could use the Oracal 751, which is a cast film that comes in about 100 colors, and any of those would be good in terms of being permanent. Would be easy to adhere, and they would hold the shape of the glass very well.
Lisa says, I may have missed it. Can you use HTV on the YETI mugs or on a standard coffee mug using your mug press?
That's a good question. That wouldn't be the ideal application. HTV, for those who don't know, is heat transfer vinyl, and you could try that. The problem is that heat transfer vinyl is designed specifically to bond with fabric. It's not really designed to bond with stainless steel, so you're not going to get an ideal adhesive there. You're going to be much better off with a regular vinyl like Endura Gloss or Endura Glitter Cast or 751. Those are designed to form a permanent bond with a hard surface like stainless steel. Heat transfer vinyl is not, so it really is designed specifically, again, for cotton, polyester, and fabric, where the adhesive is designed to melt into and bond with the fiber. So, well, it wouldn't be the ideal application for heat transfer film. Now, I have seen people apply heat transfer vinyl to license plates, so it can be done, but it's probably not going to be the most durable option.
And then just a couple more. Brian asked, what about condensation on vinyl decals?
Oh, right, yes.
I guess if he's talking about YETI, that shouldn't be an issue.
Yeah, these are all designed for long-term outdoor applications. So whether you're talking about Endura Gloss, Endura Glitter Cast, or Oracal, these are products designed to be outdoors for 8, 9, 10 years, so condensation is certainly not going to be a factor. As long as it's applied correctly initially, and you have a good initial adhesive and good initial bond, then condensation is not going to degrade the adhesion of the vinyl to the drinking vessel.
For Jerry and myself, thank you so much, and have a great remainder of your week.